Hello everybody, this is Claire Pamisa from Bukidnon State University Graduate Studies. Today's discussion is all about action mapping. Action mapping is a technique developed by training expert Cathy Moore. It is used to ensure that the learning resources you create serve the needs of your training audience. It focuses on actions. It is a nonlinear structure that gives you the inspiration to design a more engaging e-learning courses that will motivate learners to explore and learn. It focuses heavily on immersive scenarios that allow a learner to practice skills in a safe environment. It is called action mapping because it helps change what people do, not just what people think. It helps to design action-packed materials that are 100% dedicated to improving performance. Action mapping focuses on two major goals. First, what people need to know. This can be done by providing measurable goals, which stops way too much unnecessary information that doesn't support a clear objective. Second, what people need to do. These are the job behavior that will reach the goal, or specifically actions that serves as a quick, effective, and visual way to e-learning experience. Why is action mapping useful to instructional designers? The collaborative nature of an action mapping workshop has the benefit of getting early participation rate to the design process. The process can also reveal optimum solution to the desired performance improvement. Action mapping can also help with the scope of the subject, ensuring only essential information that supports learners' activity. An action mapping workshop is ideally undertaken during the project kick-off meeting. But how? There are two ways to do it. First, physical workshop. This can be done through in-person meeting. Gather your employee, stakeholders, or anybody that is connected to the goal. Prepare whiteboard and sticky notes. Exchange and brainstorm ideas. Another way to execute action mapping is through online meetings. Alternatively, interactive digital model like Zoom meeting, Google Classroom, Google Meet, or even Facebook Messenger group call can also be used with the now normal setup. There are 4 nodes in the execution of action mapping. These are 1. Measurable goal, 2. Job behavior, 3. Realistic practice activity, and 4. Essential information. In the next slides, I will be discussing the step-by-step process and the things you need to consider in each step. To begin with, consider physical workshop or online meetings as a stepping stone of the process. This was discussed a while ago. Take note that there are no standard format when it comes to executing action mapping. During the process, all ideas are welcome in the group through brainstorming and omission of actions or practices that does not help the goal. And now, let us discuss the 4 nodes of action mapping. Start with a measurable organizational goal. Think of what's driving the training need. Animate this with arrows. Arrows are very essential in each step as they direct actions towards goal. Make sure that this is action-oriented, not about increasing knowledge. The goal sits in the middle of the model and everything is sensed from there. So let us proceed to the second node of action mapping, which is the job behavior or action that will reach the goal. This can be done through identifying the actions that learners need to perform to reach such goal, with the help of different needs analysis methods such as direct observation, questionnaires, consultation with persons in key position, interview, focus group, surveys, and records of report studies. Remember, for each action, identify reasons why learners aren't performing. Consider the student's knowledge, the skills, the environment enablers, and the motivation. The third node of action mapping is the realistic practice activity for that behavior from step 2, which is the action that will reach the goal. So from that action, design or create practice activities that users can perform to practice and then achieve the desired goal. Build rough prototypes of the activities. What are these? These are the exercises based on actions which makes the students achieve the lesson objective. The last and final notes of action mapping is the essential information for that activity. Identify the minimum necessary information that users need in order to perform the activities. Consider how this information addresses the users or students' knowledge, the skills, the environment, and the motivation. Also, identify the essential resources required to complete the activities. As a summary, action mapping has 4 simple steps. First is defining measurable goal. Second, identifying job behavior. Third, creating realistic practice activity for that behavior. Fourth, prioritizing essential information for that activity. In this section, let us discuss 4 simple steps that will help teachers in action mapping for e-learners. Start with identifying the goal. This keeps the focus on what learners actually need to do and know rather than simply including all of the information that could not be useful. Take note to include only the most important points and avoid unnecessary information. According to Moore, a measurable goal will help a designer design relevant activities, identify most important content, and evaluate success and show the value of training. The second step in action mapping for e-learners is to identify what learners need to do. Pinpoint all the steps that students need to take to achieve goal. Steps that are actions. Again, actions, not pieces of knowledge and things that students will do. Another step in action mapping for e-learners is to design practice activities. This refers to the real activities or tasks teachers need to perform in the e-classroom that mirrors real-life situation. Each practice on the map will relate to an activity or activities, all of which relate back to the lesson objectives. The last and final steps in action mapping for e-learners is to identify what students genuinely need to know. Look for minimum amount of information. Omit information that are unnecessary. If the information doesn't directly support an activity, don't add it. Helpful hints in action mapping. It's a collaborative process. The designer doesn't create the map on their own. Action mapping works far better if the teacher and subject matter expert are included from the very beginning. Students should be included when setting the goal, and the teachers, school heads, and parents should also be included in identifying what students need to do and why they aren't doing it. No designer should create a design in isolation. Another hint in action mapping is to make sure training is a part of the solution. Action mapping includes needs analysis. It's not just a way to organize content. It's usually not a super simple diagram. The map gets as complicated as you need it to get. It's common to list major actions you want people to take on the job, and then break them down into sub-actions that branch off the major ones. Lastly, it's not a mind map. You don't just add stuff as you think of it. An action map looks like a mind map, but the links between each item create dependencies. Everything in the map has to justify its existence by linking directly to the goal. The purpose of the map is to prevent the casual adding of content. This ends my discussion about action mapping. I hope that this short video presentation will motivate you to apply what you've learned and practice it at work. Mabuhay!